Hi everybody, my name is Keeley and welcome to my second Literary Gladiators video. I am super excited to talk with you today a little bit about a book that I just finished that I was such a huge fan of and just felt like it would be so much fun to talk about. That book is Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. So I love the cover of this edition that I got. Yeah. Super cool. So it's got this like very fun art style and it says the Queen of Mystery before it says Agatha Christie. And this was actually the first Agatha Christie book that I've ever read. Obviously, like I said, she's kind of thought of as the Queen of Mystery. She writes murder mysteries, detective novels, things like that. And I've always loved mysteries, I've loved thrillers, so I don't really know why it took me so long to come around to reading an Agatha Christie book, but now that I've read this one, I know that there's going to be more where that came from. Yeah, this one is actually very unique when it comes to Agatha Christie books generally, because typically, like I said, she has detective mysteries. So, you know, some other famous ones that you might have heard of, Murder on the Orient Express, or Death on the Nile, which there's a movie that just came out about that one. Those are both Hercule Poirot mysteries, meaning it's the same detective throughout those mysteries, almost like a book series, but each different book has its own plot. It's just you're following the same detective as he solves all these different mysteries, which is super fun. But And Then There Were None is actually, there is no detective for this one. This one is kind of self-contained, and it kind of starts off that genre of like desert island or like secluded mysteries, if that makes sense. So this book is about 10 strangers that are lured to an isolated island mansion by a mysterious person called U.N. Owen. And at dinner, there's a recorded message that accuses each of them of having a guilty secret, and then by the end of the night one of them is dead, and then one by one they keep falling, and then you're kind of trying to figure out, okay, nobody can come to this island, nobody can get off of it, somebody has to be doing it here. And so they're trying to like point fingers at each other, they're trying to figure out who is being sketchy. There's a lot of sort of little factions that form, almost like Lord of the Flies vibes, where they're all faced with this issue and people are handling it differently, and they're kind of grouping up in pairs. Yeah, so they get stranded by a violent storm, and so they can't get off the island, and one by one they start dying, and you just start following, like, okay, who do I think this is? And the reason why I loved this book so much was just because literally the ending was like so shocking. And I know that's the goal for a lot of mysteries and thrillers, but I've been reading some mystery thrillers recently that have been less shocking, and this one, oh my goodness, I'm not going to spoil the actual ending, but I will say it's a shocker. So I'll kind of walk through like my thoughts throughout reading, and I'm going to try and be spoiler free through this. So if you haven't read it already, I highly recommend that you do. It's really, really a good one, and I felt like it was a super good introduction to the world of Agatha Christie. I do have one more novel, I'm looking at it on my shelf right now, by her, that I would love to read in the future now, knowing that I'm such a fan. It's called Curtain. I'm actually going to grab it really quick. Let me just be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I'm back with my Agatha Christie book. How cool is this cover? I don't know if you can see. I just think it's the coolest cover ever. It's like this night sky, almost camping vibe. There's an owl on it. And it just has this super vintagey, cool look to it. And this is a Hercule Poirot book, and it says, Hercule Poirot returns to Styles, the scene of his first great case, to prevent a dangerous mass murderer from striking again. But the great detective doesn't know that this will be the most dangerous case of his illustrious career, and perhaps the last. Drama. So, like I said, I have another Agatha Christie book and I'm really excited to read it, but I will say that I really appreciated the fact that this was such a unique mystery and didn't have that detective vibe. So, I'm very curious to see if I enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed this one. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video after reading this book, and you'll find out in the future, but I think just generally what I would say about And Then There Were None is that each character felt so well developed. So like I said, there were 10 strangers on the island at the beginning, and you're learning little bits and pieces about each of them. You're watching each of them individually react to the crimes that are happening, and you're learning bits and pieces about their secrets. And each character, like you really could get into the head of each character, and then that's why when the reveal actually happens about who's behind this, it's so shocking because you felt like, oh my god, I was fully in each of these characters' minds. And then at the end you realize, like, I thought that I was really knew what was happening in each of the characters' heads, but I really didn't, you know? So I just felt like it was so well done. And if you're in the mood to kind of be, not tricked is the wrong word, but if you're in the mood to be shocked by an ending and kind of be like, oh my god, how did I not see that? Or how did I, like, how could that be based on my reactions to the novel thus far? This would totally be a good pick. I originally had this on my October TBR and didn't get around to it until now. And I will say, like, yes, it is like a mystery thriller kind of thing, and a lot of people read those around Halloween, October. I don't think this one had to be around that time. I really felt like this was a mystery that could be read at any time of year. Maybe even spring, summer would be best considering they're on an island. But yeah, I wanted to note that just because it did take me forever to get around to it. But then once I finally did, like, it was on my October, November, December, and January TBRs, and I finally read it in February. So that should tell you a little bit something about my lack of time to read. But I really think it was worth getting around to, and I'm sad that I didn't get to it earlier, but like I said, I was such a fan, and I definitely think this is going to start me on a journey of reading more mystery thrillers in the months to come, and I recommend that you do the same. So yeah, that was Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. And like I said, my name is Keeley. I have my own channel over on Keeley's Reading Nook, and if you're interested in joining me over there, I would love to have you. So have a good rest of your week. Thank you so much for stopping by.